What's up, horse racing fans? Welcome to a historic episode of the Inside Post as we say goodbye to Golden Gate Fields. As you heard, this past weekend, June 9th, was the last race at Golden Gate Fields after shutting down Stronach Group, consolidating with racing down south at Santa Anita, shutting down Golden Gate Fields forever. Looking back on this 140-acre property settled in Berkeley, California, Northern California, was once a public ranch, dynamite factory, a popular clamming spot, and a dry dock for part of the United States Navy during World War II, before it developed into known as the Golden Gate Field racetrack and bringing us some spectacular racing in Northern California for most of its time. Looking back into the history, 1939, ground was finally broken to start the building of Golden Gate Fields. Bing Crosby, singer among the board members of the Golden Gate Turf Club, decided on the groundbreaking opportunity for the $2.5 million track back in the late 1930s. Trouble early on for Golden Gate, postponed early, wet winter, as you have seen in some of the pictures, how close this is to the beach. Obviously, rainy days could kind of drastically change things at Golden Gate Fields. However, once they were finally able to get the track dry and the rain holding off, they were able to establish a 35-day meet in 1941, with the first race being won by Shookum Chuck, which was bred by Bing Crosby, ridden by apprentice jockey Eddie Franklin, won the first ever race at Golden Gate Fields. However, the track would severely wash away with a lot of rain and obviously the surf washing into it as well. So the track would have to be redone later on in the year, putting themselves in about $500,000 of debt early on, and unfortunately in 1941 had to be auctioned off for a mere $1,000. Yikes. 5 months later, however, we would enter World War II, and the track would be converted into a military landing force equipment depot. Ships, submarines were dry docked in preparation for deployment, obviously in the Pacific War. After World War II ended in 1947, first time 6 years, races were again ran at Golden Gate Fields. Reopened under the aegis of the Pacific Turf Club. 1947, fair truckle. 6 furlongs in a minute 8 and 4. 2 are setting a world record in the 6 furlong event. We have the birthplace in 1949 of Bill Shoemaker. Yes, the shoe. 19-year-old bug boy got his first win on the second race that day in 1949 at Golden Gate Fields. It was his first, what would go on to be a historic career for Bill Shoemaker, of 8,833 victories that set up for his Hall of Fame career. 1950, Triple Crown champion Citation is beat by the deep closing Noor in the Golden Gate Handicap. Noor was bred in Ireland. Campaign Seabiscuit's owner, Charles Howard, set a world record going a mile and a quarter as he defeated Citation 4 times, actually, in that year as well. As we've known, a lot of horse tracks here recently have been closing. Golden Gate Field is falling victim or has fell victim to yet another closure. Just popularity, location. As you know, the Raiders have left. The Oakland A's are on their way out. There's just not much up north for Golden Gate Fields to stay established and it can kind of continue their growth. 1969, we had a San Francisco native by the name of Robin Smith, breaking the gender barrier, becoming the first woman to ride in Northern California racehorse. Swifty Yorkie um, was the name of that horse that she was riding. Um, so, breaking all sorts of barriers early on in Golden Gate's career. 1972 was the first time they opened the turf track inside the main track at Golden Gates Field. As you know, the lovely pictures of the dark synthetic Tapeta with the inside of the grass and several of the ponds and the fountains inside the track as well. In November 1999, Golden Gate Field becomes acquired by a mere $77 million purchase by thoroughbred owner breeder Frank Stronach, becoming part of the Stronach Group, and then First Racing. In 2007 is where we see the dark black Tapeta being installed, and then in that winter was the first time that they had raced over the all-weather surface. Um, as we know now, Santa Anita looking at going to an all-weather Tapeta track, um, kind of doing some safety as they kind of struggled with a couple of horse injuries, horse deaths early on in Golden Gate Fields. A factor behind that was the red rock seeping through, basically coming to the surface, kind of injuring a lot of horses' hooves, ankles, and legs on the track because it really wasn't solid ground, obviously being that close to the beach. A lot of sandy material would cause for the heavier stuff to rise. Rombar in February 2021, yes, one of the Triple Crown race winners in there, makes his 3-year-old debut in the El Camino Derby. Obviously, would go on later to upset the Grade 1 Preakness. So a lot of great horses have came out of Golden Gate Fields. Most recently, obviously, Endlessly. Um, again, coming from the El Camino Derby, and was kind of a big horse on the Derby Trail as well. As it began its final meet, December 2023, 25% cut in overnight purses to recover their $3.1 million of overpayment. We see huge cuts being made, purses being cut, fields kind of diminishing, if you would, and just not as much marketing going into the Golden Gate Field uh, race track, race betting to draw any fans. As we look ahead, hopefully we have some better days of racing. Um, Unfortunately, California has lost a really good racetrack, especially in the northern part of the racetrack. Um, Hopefully, we can keep a little bit more of these historic tracks around, and the quality of racing needs to get better. With horse safety obviously being the number one, but it takes a lot of money to run tracks, a lot of money to be in this business. Hopefully, we don't see fairly any other horse tracks, especially historical racetracks, falling to the wayside in the near future. Who knows what is to come of the 140 acres that Golden Gate sits on. We'll have to wait and see how the consolidation works with Santa Anita. Hopefully, it improves Santa Anita's purses as well as the field sizes. Maybe it'll grow. Instead of having 6 horses, we'll get a little bit more for that as well. A sad day for Northern California residents, obviously taking a lot of jobs away out of that community of a lot of backside track workers, a lot of horse trainers now looking to probably ship their horses down south. Going to be a little bit costly. In the future, we will see what is to come. But this is kind of what we do as horse players. We try to build up the sport as best we can. We'll continue to build up the sport the best we can so we can continue to have this great history and pastime a part of our lives. We thank you for watching. We hope you subscribe down below. give us a like, and be watching for more horse racing history videos on the brighter note. Thanks.